The Netherlands is often said to have one of the best railway networks in the world. But is that really true? Today, the Netherlands boasts one of the densest railway networks globally, with many stations per square kilometer. But it all started with a single railway line between Amsterdam and Haarlem, a historic city to the west of Amsterdam, on September 20th, 1839. This line was operated by the Hollandse IJS.M Spoorwegmaatschappij, Dutch Iron Railway Company, also known as H.IJ.S.M. In the following decades, multiple independent railway companies emerged, including the Maatschappij tot Exploitatie van Staatsspoorwegen, State Railways Operating Company. This was commonly abbreviated as SS, but please note that this has no connection whatsoever to the SS from World War II. Despite the unfortunate abbreviation, it was purely a Dutch railway entity from the 19th century. These two companies gradually expanded the railway network, but they continued to operate independently of each other. The Dutch government realized that a coordinated approach was necessary to create an efficient national railway network. In 1917, the two companies began collaborating. Eventually, in 1938, they merged to form the Nederlandse Spoorwegen, NS, which translates to Dutch Railways, with the Dutch government as its sole shareholder. This merger was a turning point, integrating various networks into one coherent system. The newly formed NS took over an extensive network spanning the whole country and focused on modernization and standardization. Shortly after the merger, World War II broke out. One of the darkest chapters in NS history was its role in transporting Jewish citizens to concentration camps on behalf of the German occupiers. Special trains ran to the Westerbork transit camp in the northeast of the country, from where people were deported further. Decades later, NS formally apologized for this role and established a compensation scheme for survivors and their relatives. By the end of the war in 1945, much of the railway infrastructure lay in ruins. Rebuilding was a massive operation that took several years. In the 1950s, the focus turned to modernizing and electrifying major lines, such as the routes between Amsterdam and Eindhoven in the south of the country, and between The Hague, where the seat of government is, and Rotterdam, a large port city in the southwest. Stations and rail yards were reconstructed, and steam locomotives were gradually phased out in favor of electric and diesel trains. Over the years, NS introduced a wide variety of rolling stock, from steam locomotives to modern electric train sets. The very first electric trains in the Netherlands date back to the 1920s and were nicknamed blokkendoos, boxcar, known for their heavy, durable construction. They could also be used as carriages pulled by a locomotive. With the arrival of electric trains, NS became more efficient and modern. The trains were named MAT, short for material, the Dutch word for rolling stock, and the numbers indicate the years in which they were first designed. Early electric models included the MAT 36, MAT 40, and MAT 54, nicknamed Hondekop, meaning dog's head, referencing the round, streamlined front. These robust trains were designed for intercity services, offering more comfort than the old steam trains. During this period, NS also introduced several electric locomotive series, 1000, 1100, 1200, 1300, and later 1500, 1600, and 1700. Although electrification was a major priority, many regional lines remained without overhead power for a long time. To serve these routes efficiently, NS introduced various generations of diesel trains, each with its own unique characteristics. The first diesel train sets arrived in 1934, the Diesel 3. It was groundbreaking, the very first diesel train set in the Netherlands, and also the first to feature a streamlined design. Up until then, steam locomotives pulling separate carriages were the norm. The Diesel 3 was self-propelled, carrying its own traction source in the power car. People even bought platform tickets just to see it, drawn by its innovative American-inspired styling, sleek silver-gray paint with red stripes, and aluminum-colored roofs. In the 1950s, NS introduced its first diesel-electric train sets, which used a diesel engine to power electric traction motors. Dubbed Diesel 1 and Diesel 2, these trains replaced steam services on non-electrified lines. Their striking blue color earned them the nickname Blue Angels. Lightweight and agile, they were perfect for local stopping services, serving small stations and halts. From the 1960s onward, NS expanded its diesel fleet with the Plan U train sets. With their robust design and iconic red paint, they quickly became the standard image on non-electrified lines. Thanks to powerful diesel engines and spacious compartments, Plan U sets were popular with both drivers and passengers, primarily serving rural routes lacking overhead lines. In the 1970s, NS adopted a more modern public image. Because older trains and stations were perceived as dark and dreary, the company decided to paint the fleet in a fresh yellow color and introduced a new corporate identity. Classic trains like the Blue Angel and Plan U were repainted in yellow, as were the 1100 and 1200 electric locomotives. All rolling stock was adorned with the new modern NS logo. New electric train sets were also introduced. At the end of the 1960s, MAT 64 entered service. Until 2009, these units formed the backbone of NS's local stopping services. By the 1970s and 1980s, demand grew for faster connections, leading to the introduction of Intercity Materiale, better known by the nickname Koploper, headrunner. Its unique feature was a through gangway in the front of the train, allowing passengers to move between coupled sets without disembarking, making the intercity network more flexible and efficient. For short distances and frequent commuter services, NS introduced Sprinter train sets in the 1970s. Light and fast with wide doors for quick stops, they were ideal for busy routes in the Randstad area, the central western urban region that includes Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague, and Utrecht. In the 1990s, several more types of rolling stock arrived. On quieter routes in the north of the country, NS introduced the Koploper, Mudflats Walker, a diesel hydraulic rail car. Other diesel trains were replaced by DM90, nicknamed Buffalo. The 1990s also saw the debut of more modern electric trains like DDAR, double-deck sets intended for busy commuter lines, providing extra seats through two-level coaches. Operating in a push-pull arrangement with a locomotive, they were flexible and could handle heavy passenger flows. And for longer intercity journeys, NS introduced IRM, Intercity Double-Decker. With wide doors, comfortable seating, and large capacity, IRM trains became the backbone of intercity travel. In the 1990s, the Dutch railways underwent privatization, just like many other former state-run companies for mail, telecom, and energy. Unprofitable lines were spun off by NS and taken over by private operators such as Connection, Veolia, Arriva, and Keolis. Freight traffic was also open to private operators, and most night trains were canceled. Some night trains continued under travel agencies or private firms. Meanwhile, a high-speed line was introduced, though not without complications. Despite the new competition, NS remained responsible for the country's main rail network, known as the Hoofdrailnet, encompassing the major intercity and sprinter routes throughout the Netherlands. In recent years, NS has made significant strides towards sustainability and innovation, focusing on improving passenger experience while reducing the environmental impact of train travel. A major step was the introduction of modern Flirt and SNG sprinter sets, more comfortable and energy efficient than the older trains they replaced. Meanwhile, the IRM double-decker Intercity trains underwent a thorough upgrade to enhance performance and comfort on long routes. NS also invested in new Intercity Nieuwe Generatie, ICNG, trains for the high-speed line in the west of the country. These trains are faster and greener, intended to offer higher standards of comfort. Unfortunately, a significant construction flaw in the high-speed line infrastructure has limited the speed until repairs are completed. Another milestone. Since 2017, NS trains have run entirely on wind power, greatly reducing CO2 emissions and underscoring the company's commitment to sustainability. With substantial subsidies to the Austrian Federal Railways, ÖBB, some night trains have made a comeback. Night trains are growing in popularity across Europe, and the expectation is that this trend will continue to increase. NS is also planning further electrification of more lines and aiming to enhance punctuality. By 2025, these plans should take shape, and significant progress is anticipated. Research into alternatives for diesel traction, such as hydrogen trains or battery electric trains, could eventually replace diesel units on non-electrified routes run by private companies. However, not everything is running smoothly. While punctuality in recent years has improved to about 90%, which is considered good by international standards, delays and disruptions remain a source of frustration for many passengers. During peak hours, trains can be extremely crowded. As ridership is projected to increase further, NS will need more capacity and better ways to spread out passenger flows. So, does the Netherlands truly have the best railway network in the world? It certainly boasts one of the densest networks, with frequent services as often as every 10 to 15 minutes on many routes, and a high degree of electrification, making train travel accessible and relatively sustainable. Internationally, NS's punctuality scores are respectable, although some critics argue statistics can be misleading if severely delayed trains are simply cancelled and thus removed from the data. The Netherlands also offers cross-border connections to its neighbors, making international train travel an increasingly popular alternative to flying. But there is still room for improvement. Rush hour overcrowding, a more limited night train network compared to Germany or Switzerland, and a high-speed line with persistent technical issues all show that the system has its flaws. In terms of sheer speed, international reach, and luxury, places like Japan, Switzerland, and France often rank a step higher. All in all, the Netherlands has one of the best regional and intercity railway systems in the world when you consider its compact size and the volume of passengers carried. It may not hold the absolute top position globally, especially regarding speed and long-distance international travel, but within Europe, it certainly ranks among the best. If you've traveled with the Dutch trains before, we'd love to hear about your experience. Do you have any tips, stories, or thoughts on the system? Drop them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next one.